Hey, it's Monday, and you know what that means? Well, it's the first Monday of Indy week, really. That's what this really means. But for tonight, we have to do Michigan. So it's IndyCar 9 on iRacing. Hello, good everybody. I'm Gary Gotzo. Welcome to Race First coverage of Round 9 of Season 2 of 22 of the Monday Night Indy Fix Top Split, coming to you from the Legacy Michigan International Speedway. As always, joining me in the booth for expert analysis from the NHR eSports team and the Lionheart IndyCar Series is Steven Larkamp. So, hey, Steven, in the old USAC and kart days of the 70s and 80s, Michigan was not necessarily about speed, but it was about survival. You didn't need to be the fastest to win, you just needed to be fast enough. Those races invited a lot more first-time and surprise winners. As cars and engine technology, became better, races became more contests of speed, inviting more pack racing and experienced winners. What do you think you'll see tonight? A new winner this season, or one that we've seen already?
Well, the funny thing you mentioned with that comparison, of course, well, Michigan was, of course, home to one of the Triple Crown 500-mile races alongside Indianapolis, of course, and Pocono Raceway, my favorite oval track in the entire world. No, I'm not completely biased. But the interesting thing we see at Michigan is not only are the speeds incredible. Of course, in the kart days, they were going upwards of 250 miles an hour down the straights. We're not going to see that tonight, of course. We're going to be seeing in the range of 230 and going down the straightaways here. But not only is speed going to be a factor, but survival is also going to be one as well, but not in the classical sense in terms of managing your equipment, as Bobby Rahal was once saying that he would cruise for the first 450 miles to sprint the last 50. Yeah. Of course, we have a 60-lap race here. It will be 120 miles here, not nearly as long as the big 500-miler, but survival could well be just getting the car to the end there, being good on your strategy, and getting yourself to the front when it matters the most. And most importantly of all, and this is why I think the analogy is pretty fitting, not get caught up in any incidents here, because with the pack racing that we've seen here at Michigan before, that could be liable to happen if someone even makes a minute error.
There we go. We're looking at about a minute and a half left to go on qualifications. Pinero is our provisional pole sitter at a 221.235. Robert Motegi sit there at 221.138. Patient in at 220.701. Eckert at 220.528. And Mark Murphy making a return appearance after some vacation time that he took. 220.470. Fast after vacation. That shows when you're nice and rested, let's put it that way. So we're talking about speeds here. Let's talk about the speeds here at Michigan. There are 3 effective IndyCar records here at Michigan. Of course, they did run back here in the USAC days. They did run here in the kart days, and they did run here, of course, through the IRL and which we also call the IndyCar days. So let's get into each one of these. Tom Sneva actually set the record in 78 for the USAC cars with a monumental speed of the day. Get this. This is in July of 78, 211.392 miles per hour. That was an increase of 11 miles per hour from the year before, and the USAC cars never, ever got anywhere close to that number because they realized that they were probably encroaching in on unknown territory there, and they wisely slowed them down here going forward. But just to give you some idea, 211.392, because then we'll tell you what the kart speed record is here, which is the current track record, and is still the track record to this day, set back in 2000. That is Paul Tracy with the speed of 234.949. So imagine if that same level of development in 78 managed to continue. I would think by 2000 they would have been in more into the 250s and rather than 230s, but that was obviously an idea of safety. And of course, when the IRL came here, they had those, well, what they call the crap boxes, but big wide cars with lots of holes that caught a lot of air and made a lot of drag. Thomas Schechner holds the track record here with a 203, or excuse me, back in 2003 with a speed of 222.458. Stand by in the garage area. It's almost time to go racing, but with that, it's time to look at tonight's starting lineup. But before we do, you at home can help us on our drive to 1,000 subscribers. If you enjoy Race First coverage of the Monday Night Indy Fix Top Split in your respective stream, make sure to support us by smashing the like button below and subscribe so you don't down on the race. We have just a little bit more than 200 subscribers to go to get to the magical 1,000 mark, so please help us by hitting those buttons. We can't get there without you. And now let's get into it at Michigan with tonight's starting lineup.
And on the pole is the number 4 machine, PDF. Pablo Diaz Francis puts in a blistering time right at the end. Alongside him, the championship leader, Adriano Pinero in the number 1. Robert Malechka III, an IndyCar ace for a long time and a driver I also compete with alongside Pinero in the Lionheart IndyCar Series. He starts off 3rd alongside the number 5 of Trace Shadid. Malechka driving the number 2, I should note. Rodrigo Franzoni in the number 12 machine starts off 5th. He's had spectacular runs so far this season, challenging Pinero for the championship. Let's see if he can keep that up. Rafael Eckert, another strong driver throughout much of the season. He will start 6th in the number 21 machine. Eckert in the 21 is showing how big the strength of field is here tonight. Mark Murphy, the returning Mark Murphy, starts his number 8 machine in P7 alongside the 10 of our good friend Dakota DeMay. Cesar Cabral, the best interview in sim racing in my humble opinion. He starts off 9th in the number 20 alongside the 11 of Adriano Fraporti rounding out your top 10. Alexandre Ragon starts off 11th in the number 6 alongside the 13 machine of Stephen Lee in 12th. Hamilton Akabueze in the number 16 starts 13th, alongside the 9 of Sean Dunham, who himself had a great run here last season. Let's see if he can move his way through the pack and get up to that spot once more. Gil Ribeiro in the 22 starts 15th, alongside the 18 of Bruno Miranda. Keaton Tripp in the number 7, and Nigel Standish make up row number 9. And Nick Neben and Jesper Orman round out the top 20 there. Orman, the first of the drivers to not post a qualifying time in that number 3 machine. And shotgun on the field, the final row of the grid, Luka Korolev in the 17, alongside the 19 of Matt Mercer, as we get ready for 60 laps at Michigan International Speedway. Get ready for some high speeds and close quarters action, as we've come so accustomed to seeing here.
Long formation lap. Of course, we got the full 2 mile lap before we get ready to go here.
Admittedly, it's a better experience here than it is at a track like, say, Road America, for instance, where you have to go the whole 4 miles and you're going much slower. But PDF, not been typically on the pole for the last few events there, puts in a great time at the end of this one. And when PDF starts up front, he usually has a pretty good night for himself unless something tragic happens. But 4 very, very fast guys, 6 very fast guys starting up at the front of the field. Let's see how they get on tonight. It's speed weeks very much for us IndyCar fans, and we're going to have a lot of speed right now as we wait on that pace car to peel off. And he does so. We're waiting on PDF. He gets on the throttle. Green flag flies. We are racing in the Irish Hills of Michigan. Pablo Diaz-Francis with a great getaway. Pinero and Malechka. Malechka looking to the outside of Pinero for second. He tucks in a line there. People starting to get single file right now. I don't expect that to last too terribly long. As we head down the back straightaway, and Pinero looks way down to the inside, almost on the
brings him
white
down
line.
to the bottom.
Oh, bold play right now by Pinero, but he moves up to the lead, trips way up high on exit there.
Was probably
a lot of aero push there. Oh, car in the wall in the back there.
Oh, we got cars hitting each other in the back. We got him spinning in the back. Spin him in the back.
Caution is out, and one of them, I believe, that is Nigel Standish in the 14 around.
And Bruno Miranda.
Oh, and Bruno Miranda as well. Oh, and that was... Looking to me, that was just very unfortunate there. And there was another car, I think, that got in the wall as well.
Yeah, where are we wanting here to find out what happened?
And I believe it looks like the 13 of Stephen Lee gets into the wall coming off of 4.
Yeah, Stephen Lee in the Samsung car there washes up in the 4. I don't know if that actually starts the issue, but we will we'll actually see if we can find him. There he is. We'll start watching there.
Looks to me like he got caught out by the aero push.
Yeah, 3 wide right there at that point of the track. And then and then Miranda runs up on him. He goes down to the grass. And it could have been a lot worse. It looks like it might only be is it Matthew Mercer? No.
I think it is just Miranda and Standish that get.
Yeah, and Standish is towed, and I think he has already popped out for the race. So he will be making the 10:15 one for sure. I'm sorry, probably.
With as disappointing a result as that is, that would not surprise me. But terrible break for both of them. They had a lot of work to do in making their way up to the field, and that's really showing what I think this setup is gonna. This is gonna be what the drivers are gonna have to work around here. The aero push can very easily be a concern later on in the going. So I think this is gonna be a lot of drivers are gonna be desperate to make moves early on. I think that's why we saw Pinero make that move early on in this race. He didn't hold on to that lead. PDF still leads the way, I should note, but I think a lot of these guys are going to be aggressive early on here because the aero push looks to be a big concern for a lot of these guys, especially when the pack is as tight as that one is.
Yeah, let's actually look at the start again, and we're going back. We're going to get onto the roll cage of Pinero here on the start, and watch. I mean, we're not even lap 1 in the turn 3 yet, and LGN is taking Pinero down to the white line, down the backstretch.
And of course, well, Pinero, no one accused him of not taking advantage of an opportunity there. But even after that, I'm looking at the corner right after that through turn number 3. He enters very low there,
very low,
then drifts way up high.
Oh yeah, he had to roll out of it for a while there, and you can hear it here on the in-car. And then he gets passed pretty much immediately because he lost momentum. For a moment there, I almost thought that might have been an FU slide job on LGN. I'm like, okay, man, you're going to take me to the white line down the backstretch on lap 1. Here, let me give you a bit of dirty air coming to the start-finish line on lap 1, and we're even. But no, he actually had to keep it off the wall himself.
Yeah, this could well be a sign that these guys are going to be, that the front runners are going to be desperate for clean air here. It's going to be another game of find the clean air for a lot of these guys. So they're going to have a lot of work to do if they're going to maintain track position and to keep up with the guys around them. And that's why, and I think we're going to see a few desperate moves once we get this restart. And lights are out on the pace car.
Yeah, they sure are. And normally Michigan is not one of those places where passing is at a premium. Not like some other tracks we've seen before. But I think the fear is there with a lot of these drivers that once these tires go away, it starts turning into a single file. You know, everyone's kind of separated by anywhere from 5/10 to 8/10 of a second, and they're unable to get a run on everyone. So I would imagine these next couple opening laps, there's going to be a lot of slicing and dicing, folks trying to make up as many spots as possible before the tires go off. I know we talked pre-race that we thought that the conditions and the setup might be right for a pack race, but that remains to be seen quite yet. But your top 5 right now is PDF. He is your leader. Pinero is P2, Malechka P3, Franzoni P4, and Trace Shadid there, P5, right there on your screen. Showing up just behind Trace Shadid is Mark Murphy in the P6 there, Eckert P7, Cesar Cabral P8, Forporti P9, and Dakota DeMade in P10. And that rounds out your top 10. We've just got a few laps under our belt already, coming to green this time by. We'll see what shakes out as we get back to action here on the Monday Night Indy Fix Top Split.
Interesting move here from PDF on the start. He's not moving up high with everyone else, but he gets on the throttle. Pinero does not take advantage of that. And even then, Pinero actually got a pretty slow restart there.
Yeah, I think
and that could push him into the clutches of Malechka.
Yeah, I think Malechka is going to get him here. Looking on the top side. He's going to tuck back in behind him. Let's probably stay up top here.
Let's see if he can get a run here. They look to defend that low line there. Pinero once again going down low. Look at this move here. As PDF tries to work that higher line, it works out brilliantly for him. He holds on to the spot, and here comes Malechka to the inside for P2.
Can you meet me in Malechka's shoes there? You hear your spotter say, you're 3 wide. When the hell did we go 2 wide? But yeah, all of a sudden, surprise 3 wide going to turn 3, you're up top.
And Milechka does clear him, and now he's going to put the pressure on PDF. And meanwhile, behind him, Pinero and Franzoni look to make some action happen for third place. As right now, Milechka looking to that higher line right now. He's going to try and get the run on exit and the run down the straight, I would think. Going to be a big ass from that far back as we start lap number 8 out of 60. Milechka, here he comes, looking to the outside. Still trying to stay with him. Not quite enough there, it would seem. So it looks to me, at least for the front runners, as they seem to have broken away right now. It's already a 1 second gap between Franzoni in 4th and Shadid back in P5, and he's got a tussle of his own with Mark Murphy and Cesar Cabral.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe some of the other drivers were kind of caught off guard that, whoa, they're side by side with Murphy and Cabral. We'll take a look at that battle right now. Maybe some folks were caught off guard with the way that they were forming up during that lap and didn't think it was time to go, but it was time to go. And then we see Mark Murphy on the bottom. See multiple lanes around this place. You can see as many 5 lanes throughout these turns. If they're willing to go 5 wide, I advise against it.
And Murphy looking to the actually that Shadid looking to the inside of Mark Murphy once again for P5 here. This battle still looking pretty strong, even though they've dropped a second back to 4th place Rodrigo Franzoni. And this lead battle, this hasn't gone away any bit. PDF still holding on to a tenuous lead there, less than a 10th over Milechka as they come off at turn number 2. Excuse me while I had a little bit of a sneeze right there, which hopefully these guys don't do. It's never a good feeling to sneeze in a race car.
And a 4-car battle right here we're watching. Murphy, Shadid, Cabral, and sneaking into the back part of the picture, Raphael Eckert.
Eckert looking like, I'm sure he wants to be up in this battle as much as anyone else here, but this tussle looking a little bit hairy right now, especially with the fear.
Cabral wanted to go 3 wide there, and he wasn't sure how clear of Shadid he was, and wisely held on to it. But here comes, he had to back out of it. Here comes Eckert, had a ton of steam heading into the corner and turn 3 into this group of 4 cars, and he had to roll out of it.
All the momentum and nowhere to go for Raphael Eckert as he's looking to the outside once more on Cabral. But this battle here, it may have dropped quite a bit behind the lead pack right now, but it seems to still be holding together, I would say. And I think that's a testament to not just the track itself, but the
Dakota DeMade into the wall a little bit. Oh, we got a car spinning off of corner number 4. That might is that Dakota? That is Dakota, I think.
Oh no,
that is not Dakota. That is not Dakota. That is Stephen. Nope, not Stephen Lee. It's a Keaton Tripp.
I do see Dakota DeMay slow. He's coming onto pit road right now with damage to the front end of that number 10 machine. Oh, he's up it. Oh, he's actually hit the wall coming onto pit road. He is well and truly done now. And it looks like the other car involved was Keaton Tripp in the 7.
Yeah, there was another car involved in that one. I think it was Tripp. We got a second here. He's still going. We got a second here. Let's rewind because there were 2 incidents coming off this corner. The first was Dakota. The second, and I think it was not related, and we're watching it right now. Yeah, here it is. Keaton Tripp just coming into turns 1 and 2, and the back end just kind of swamps ends on him as he comes on the corner exit there, slides to the inside. Now they have all that tarmac there, so he's able to slow it down, get it going again. Sort of straightens out a little bit, and he is back going again. He's in the Napa car, the Rossi, kind of the former Rossi livery, and but that is unrelated to what you saw on the racetrack. That 2 separate incidences. Looks like Keaton Tripp is back going, but he's going to have the leaders on him in no time, and he's in 19th spot. No caution on the speedway. We are still green at the moment, and our leaders are coming up to a lap car of Bruno Miranda as they work their way around him down the backstretch.
It's like Miranda trying to salvage something from tonight. He will gain a free spot after DeMade's retirement if he keeps on going there, but I'm sure that's not something that Milechka really wanted in that instance. Maybe the draft on the straight for sure, but not the arrow push you get in the middle of the corners there. He's dropped back a little bit, but he still has all the momentum in the world to work with here as he works that higher line right now, trying to stay out of the direct slipstream of PDF's number 4 machine in the middle of the corner there to give yourself as much grip, and then he gets right back into it on the straight. And the different grooves here you can run at Michigan, this is allowing this battle to stay together.
Yep, so as many as 5 different grooves that you can slot your car in here, provided you're looking for clean air. I doubt we'll see him go 5 wide, but there are 5 different grooves here. Goes Milwaukee down low in the turn 1, and he's going to pull this pass off just like that. You have a new leader.
Move Milwaukee up to the number 1 spot. Well done to him. But PDF, no doubt, they're going to be staying with each other as PDF once again looks to the low side in turn number 3, and he clears him once again. So the swapping of these two guys for the lead, this can be a blessing if they play it right. If they can play it correctly, they can pull out a sizable gap over Adriano Pinero behind him. He's already about 6/10 back as Milwaukee looks to the low side once more in turn number 1. He once again clears it.
Yeah, so there we see the intervals with everyone on the track.
And looking at the two leaders, they both ran 32.7s as their lap times in seconds there, but Adriano Pinero with a 32.9. So this draft trade here can work easily to the benefit of the 4 and the 2 over everybody else. If they can keep this up and not make a serious error here, they can pull out a sizable gap. And the last thing they probably want is a caution right now.
Watching,
bring everyone else back up.
Yep, watching Rafael Eckert at the moment. He's kind of fallen back a little bit. He's back in 13th. That whole mid-pack, though, they are feisty as ever right now.
It's amazing. Look how close this all is as we're actually looking to go 3 wide there for Porty, Ragon, and Hamilton Akabueze down the low side, and so does Eckert. Actually, for Porty, lost a ton of spots right there alone.
Yeah, he kind of got freight trained on the low side there, and they got Bruno Miranda there, who is a little wounded. He has no one has any place to go.
Caution is out.
Caution is out. Let's see who is.
I see there's someone around there. I believe that's Stephen. Is that Stephen Lee? No, it's not.
Steve Keaton Tripp again.
Keaton Tripp in the 7.
He go back in time again off of corner number 2. Not his favorite spot at the moment. And let's see what happens.
So this
kind of a mirror before. It gets loose. He catches it and catches it right into the exit turn 2 wall there. Smacks it pretty hard.
Probably a bit of a scare there for the race leaders as they dive around the wreck of that car there. But that little twitch coming off at 2. What's actually funny is a driver I've been coaching a little bit in the ways of the sim racer. He was trying out the IndyCar in Michigan, and it was turn number 4 where a similar thing happened to him a few times, and that's where I expected something like that to happen. Turn number 2 bit less so, but it's evident there that the little bit of the transition there coming off the corner can be a bit scary if you catch it the wrong way.
I know some people swear by not getting on those seams. They're saying the seams kind of do it. I don't know about that. I always tend to think that you're loose on corner exit if you have too much weight jacker going on, and that might have been it too. Any number of things, unfortunately, but he is out of it for the day, and it is still a little early, I believe, to go the distance. It's going to be really close. I mean, we're talking within laps of going the distance here. Everyone's hitting pit road. Or at least the leaders are hitting pit road. We are a little bit early, are we not?
I think we're just about in the window right now. It'll be lap number 22 when they come back on here, and that'll be right on about where we're thinking here. We're thinking between about 38 to 40 laps, so this would be right on the money, it would seem.
Ray Shadid looks like he might have missed his marks on pit road, so he might lose some positions here. Coming out, yeah, he sure did.
And looks like pretty smooth sailing for the leaders. Besides their friend Zoni is actually still there on pit road. Does he have a penalty, I wonder? That is interesting.
Well,
I'm not sure what happened to friend Zoni.
Let's go ahead and hit the Wayback Machine and see what happened. Maybe he might be doing... hold on, let's see what he's doing here. coming in.
So it looks like it was fine. He was right on his mark there. I'm honestly not sure what happened to him. That is, oh, now he's underway now, but that is bizarre. That is a lot of track position gone. I'm not sure if there was an emergency happening where he lives, but that is, whatever the case, that's a moment that's going to hurt big time for Rodrigo Franzoni tonight.
Well, let's watch him hit the spot here. Nothing out of the ordinary. Down. We watched Trey Shadid slide through his stall. Down. Refueled. Now. Engine goes at 300 revs.
So the engine, so he shut off the motor, it would seem.
Do you think that he knows that if he sits here and with the engine off while everyone else has their engine on and they're burning fuel, he turns it on, which he's going to hear in just a second, and rejoins the back of the field, and he does a couple laps of drafting and maybe some passing to people. We'll watch his engine turn on here in a moment. And he's saving just enough to the finish.
Saving fuel, sure, but at this
stage, he gave up a lot of track position, but he's banking on. There he goes. Watch the revs come up, and he's off and away. You don't ever see the helmet or the hands disappear, so he never left the car. That would have been a tow. Interesting. I'm wondering maybe if we're getting ready to go green here momentarily, but I'm wondering if maybe he thinks everyone else in front of him is going to have to stop.
I would call that idea into question for a few reasons, but we'll see what works out and what doesn't here as the pace car peels off. We're about to start lap 24. PDF gets on the throttle once more, goes all the way down to the apron before they cross the line here. That, of course, is open ground there, but PDF away and Milwaukee under pressure from Pinero.
That is open ground down there, but it's like a gentleman's agreement not to overuse it, but he goes ahead and uses it anyways here on the start. Oh, battle back for P5 and 6 side by side. Gil Ribeiro, Cesar Cabral coming off of turn 2. They got really close to banging wheels that time. Both of them kept it off each other. Here comes Eckert right up the middle to make it 3 wide.
Oh, he just play by Rafael Eckert
up in front of Cabral.
Meanwhile, I'm looking at this battle for second place. Pinero to the inside of Milwaukee going into turn number 1. He gets a great run down to the low side there. Milwaukee will have to yield yet. He comes right back around the high side there.
Yeah, he had
Pinero got a bit of aero wash.
Yeah, because he was going to wash up the track, and if he kept washing up, he would have washed right up into Milwaukee, if worse, the wall. And he had to roll out of it. The low line is not the great place to pass going into turns 1 and 3. Well, 3's not too bad. 1 is certainly, it kind of bogs you down there. And now we see PDF using the apron again down the front straight.
Interesting calls there from PDF, trying to hold back Robert Milwaukee and Adriano Pinero. He's trying to keep a gap now between them. So we'll see if, of course, Milwaukee's a savvy enough driver to figure out a few ways to probably close up there and get up there himself, but Milwaukee, he's got a lot of fighting to do to get back up there now. He's about half a second behind there, so we'll see if they can indeed make something happen. But I'm looking back at this battle between Cabral and Eckert for P6, and Eckert to the low side on Cabral right now, and he will clear him.
Yeah, cars are inches away from that wall up top. Using the high line here, some of the guys are getting big runs down the back straight. That is a battle here for 6th, 7th, and 8th that you're currently watching. Actually, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Rafael Eckert, Ribeiro, Cabral, and Shadid are right here, all in this battle. And then slowly working their way into his Hamilton Akawazi here, and he is in that Scuderia Ferrari livery, that IndyCar livery there. And he is working the bottom side. Here comes Alexander Ragon on the high side of him. Matthew Mercer also working his way into the picture. 40 still hanging around here. Jesper Orman working his way up into the battle.
Very close stuff here in the midfield. It's certainly...
we got contact between Fraporti and Jesper Orman.
No, cars into two.
And that would have been Franzoni. So much for that strategy.
That's one of the reasons why I called that whole idea of him trying to save fuel on pit lane into question there. But regardless, that is disaster for Rodrigo Franzoni, one of the championship contenders, out early tonight on lap 28, and it was kind of a hard thing to dodge right now. We'll see how it looked like from his perspective there. He was actually side by side with Stephen Lee.
I think he was side by side with Jesper Orman. Actually, that's where I saw the contact. Unless he got additional contact from Lee, and that brought him back into the clutches of Orman. We'll see here. We'll rewind in the go wayback machine here in a bit and see exactly what happened. Oh, it was for Porty and Orman, and go ahead and get on the full bar here. Jesper gets a good run down the backstretch. Looks low. But Porty is kind of hung up behind other cars, and interesting.
That is interesting indeed. Looks to the low side in turn number 3, and it looks like he just grips up a little bit there. Not much of a hit, but it still sends him around. And the same can be said for Porty. He made contact with Stephen Lee before Franzoni, I should say. He made contact with Stephen Lee.
I think
tries to recover there.
Yep.
And there is Porty right in front of him.
Yep, and I think that was a bit of a reactionary type thing going on there. So 2 bits of contact might have been related. Let's just call them unrelated at the moment. Jesper Orman and Porty, and then it caused Rodrigo Franzoni and Steve also gain contact, and unfortunately, whatever strategy that Franzoni was on, throw that out the window. It lasted all of about 3 laps.
Tough break there for Rodrigo Franzoni. He'll definitely want to put in another race tonight. As we're working the halfway mark here under our second caution, it's Pablo Diaz-Francis, Robert Malechka, Mark Murphy up to P3 ahead of Adriano Pinero, Rafael Eckert, Gil Ribeiro, Cesar Cabral, John Dunham, Trey Shadid, and Hamilton Akabueze are currently your top 10. And as much as we want to focus on battles for the win here, this battle in the mid-pack has just been enthralling as well, especially since it always seems to be that the leaders tend to get a big gap over the rest when they're working pretty well together. Of course, they're still battling for whatever track position they can, but they seem to be pretty clean about it.
If you are just joining us, this is RaceVerse coverage of the iRacing Monday Night Indy Fixed Top Split coming to Legacy Michigan International Raceway, where we've completed 30 laps of the 60, so we're halfway home. I want to remind you that if you're watching and you're not have done so already, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Smash the button there. Give us a thumbs up. We certainly appreciate it. And then when you're done here, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell for weekly reminders of other RaceVerse iRacing programming, pretty much covering exclusively IndyCar here at RaceVerse. It is a big week for IndyCar. After we're done here, one of us has to go to Lionheart, where we have a Lionheart Speedway race. Also opening up tonight is qualifications for the fixed Indy 500, which is this weekend. We'll talk about here momentarily. And also this week as well on RaceVerse, we will be having the IndyCar iRacing Series Top Split event on Friday, as that series moves to the road course at Indianapolis. So a big week of Indianapolis, but before we even get to Indianapolis, got to get Michigan under the belt here. So we are getting ready to go green, as everyone is traditionally lining up this way. This time, at least further on back, the 2 leaders look like they're about 2 lanes off the wall at the moment. Mark Murphy is kind of wondering what's going on, and Adriano Pinero is just like, you know what, I'm going to go stay up top here. It's something that I'm more familiar with, but I'm just curious again that this is a pretty much unorthodox start, at least the way that these Indy cars are allowed to restart here on the service, and we are back green again with PDF and Malechka now tracking each other down on the apron going to the 1.
Again, PDF using that apron there, but Malechka right in his wheel tracks. He's looking to the high side this time off of turn number 2, and Mark Murphy clears Pinero behind him, but this lead battle as Pinero once again looks to the low side for third. Can Malechka make this outside line work for the lead? It's going to be a big ask, I think. He has to tuck in behind him for now, but I'm looking at this. This battle is actually still pretty close together right now as Malechka looks to the high side. 0.036 is the gap of the line there. That's just how close this racing can be.
Pinero could not have been up on the wall any closer at the entrance of turn 2 that time.
Always a scary feeling there when you get that close to the wall. You're wondering to yourself, did you hit it or not? Thankfully for him, it doesn't look like he did, as Pinero tries to work that low line there, but that push in the middle there is not exactly helping him. It opens the door for Eckert, and Eckert will get by him, it seems, for a P4. And now is putting him under pressure from Gil Ribeiro and Cesar Cabral for that top 5 spot, as still Malechka and PDF still wheel to wheel here. Malechka still doesn't quite have the run he wants there. I think what he wants more than anything at this point was to have the run early off the corner there and stick it to the inside before they even get to the corner there. But still, we've got plenty of time to work with here. We got about 25 laps to go. It may not be much in short tracking terms, but on a big track like Michigan, that's still plenty of time, and there's a lot of passing opportunities that can be had here.
No, as we watch a lot of cars taking evasive action coming out of pushing up into the turn 2 exit. A lot of guys are making. I don't want to say making things different for difficult for Pinero, but a lot of guys have been racing against Pinero for many, many seasons and not have got a chance to look at his the rear end of his car this closely, and a lot of these guys are not giving him any breaks whatsoever. They're seeing him as an opportunity to put him in the rear view mirror so they can kind of set sail. And so far, we've seen Eckert, and now Ribeiro has done that. So again, Pinero giving up more positions as he's now down to P6 with Sean Dunham on his 6.
When you have a chance to take on one of the top dogs in IndyCar competition right now, I think most drivers would clasp that with both hands, as now Pinero got really close to the rear attenuator of Rafael Eckert's number 21. He works that high side now in 1 and 2 there. Eckert with arrow push in the middle there. Pinero with the launch off the corner.
Eckert almost hit the wall. I think he did hit the wall because he is diving to the bottom. Kind of off the pace a little bit. We'll see if he's just recovering.
Like disaster. And I think, yeah, he is coming on now, like, not coming on the pit road there, but that car is definitely wounded. That's 16 of Hamilton Akabueze, who had a fantastic run going for him in the top 10. Sadly, it looks like that effort has come to naught, as Jesper Orman, also nursing a wounded race car, I would wager, after that initial contact. He will drop all the way down to 15th. Tough break for the 16 machine. I think he's still going to keep it going to see what he can salvage.
Yeah, might as well keep it going unless there's a caution and see what you can get out of the deal. Unless the damage is terminal, you don't want to drive around with a steering wheel that's like at a 45-degree angle for the remaining race.
That is always it's always a sad feeling to have, especially when you've had such a good run and you're nursing a damaged race car for the final stint of the race. It always hurts you because you know you could have done so much more there. And speaking of doing so much more, it seems like Malechka is trying to do that utmost more as well. And the same can be said for Adriano Pinero, as he's in a battle with Sean Dunham right now for P5 there. Pinero had that struggle there earlier, but he seems to have got himself into a bit of a stable running right now in the top 5.
Ooh, almost had some slicing and dicing between Kidd and Ragon back there in P9 and 10. Almost got a little bit of action that almost led to something bigger, but both kept it off each other. Right now we're watching a battle for 8th. It's Eckert, Ragon, Shadid, and Mercer here in this group of cars. And then right behind them is Luka Korlev and Nick Neiman. rounding out the remainder of the cars that are still kind of not damaged or haven't had an incident. Right now, we're not sure about Jesper Orman. He might be damaged. We don't know that for a fact, but he is back here cruising into the 14th position.
Oh, that was close right there with Trace Shadid looking to the inside of Matt Mercer. But Nick Neben right there came very close to being collected right there, or Luka Korolev, I should say. Korolev came very close to being clipped by Shadid in that exchange right there. Fortunately, they keep it going.
Yeah, this group is well evenly matched.
Yeah, and it's quite spectacular to see, especially this late into the tire stint right now. These guys have been on these tires for a while now, and we're worried that the pack would become way too spread out for much close racing here. But here in the mid pack at the very least, it seems to be holding strong, and the same can be said for the lead pack as well.
Watching them swap positions again up in front. Robert Malechka noses ahead at the start-finish line. PDF keeping the low line. Now, strategy here. That might have been, was that Eckert in the wall coming off a turn? See if Eckert might have been in the wall. He seems to be a little, well, I don't know. It was awfully close, And he's in the draft, so he's still back on the pace. But let's go back to this battle between Pablo Diaz-Francis and Malechka. With Malechka remaining to run the high line, that's less wear on his tires, and he's not necessarily pinching PDF to the bottom, but he's definitely holding PDF to the bottom. Is this a strategy to possibly make these tires on the wear out faster on the PDF machine, and Malechka then eventually will just power on through because his tires are not as used because he's been running the higher line?
It is a strategy I've seen before, and it has worked before. I've actually done this a few times last season when I raced at Auto Club Speedway. This was a strategy to keep the car next to you. If you're in the case of Malechka in P2, you keep him down on the low line, you keep him defending down there, and make him wear the tires out. It's going to be especially in this situation with Malechka, it's hard to make that pass work, if not near impossible on the outside right now in the traditional sense. But later on in the going, when the tire wear matters a lot more, Malechka is going to be banking on PDF being much more heavy on his tires, working those lower lines right now. And especially since the lower line tends to be harder to drive anyway, you get a lot of push in the middle, so you're going to be compensating with that either with less throttle in the middle of the corner or more wheel being cranked in, and that's what Malechka's trying to do to keep him pinned to that low line while staying side by side.
Looking over the right deflecto pod there on the side of PDF's car, you can hear, if you got your stereo turned up loud or you got your headphones in, you can hear Malechka's car on the outside a little bit down the back stretch.
And the thing with Malechka right now, he knows he has time to work with this. He knows that he can set up the run how he wants it later on in the going. He's a smart enough driver to know that what really matters is getting it to the end here, and being aggressive earlier on in the stint may not be worth it, especially when in the situation like this where you have a near second gap back to Pinero and Murphy behind. This is going to be just a battle between these two unless another caution comes out.
Interesting enough, watching inside of looking over the shoulder in the cockpit of Malechka, using fourth gear a lot, and that was in among the pre-race notes we heard that fourth gear would be mostly the active gear here, and he is using it, and fifth and sixth to be used for passing. And now, if you look further on up, they have a lap car coming into the picture, and that might be Bruno Miranda. We'll see how he plays in as they are coming to 10 to go.
I believe that's Stephen Lee, in fact, ahead of them in 16th position. He's the last car on the lead lap, and he's just been through the absolute ringer tonight. It's been a tough break on multiple fronts for that number 13 machine. And now Malechka once again works that higher line here. Will this be a blessing or a curse for Malechka in this battle right now with PDF? PDF has stayed pretty firmly glued to that low line there, and he's held on to the lead for pretty much the whole going right now as far as any serious challenge is concerned.
There he goes, inside.
Sees his chance. Down to the low side in turn number 3. Oh, and there's the arrow push from Lee in front of him. He has to give that up.
That was he thought that was his chance, and he took an aggressive move to try to pull that one off, and now he needs to get that momentum back to catch up to PDF. That's going to take up a better part of another lap as he works underneath Stephen Lee. Stephen Lee missing a whole side pod there, so we know he is down on speed. But he is keeping his car out of the way of everyone and allowing these leaders on through as we are now coming to less than 10 to go. Not out of this battle yet is Mark Murphy. He's still hanging out here in P3. Remember, the last time he was on the broadcast, he finished on the podium, and he's looking like he might get another podium finish. Let's not jinx it, though. We still have a long ways to go here at Michigan. 9 laps to go here before we wrap this one up.
Indeed. Hopefully, for his sake, we don't pull a Darian Gilliam on him and curse him after that. And at least we're not doing it on Twitter in this case. But now, I got to imagine Malechka's probably fuming a little bit in the cockpit right now, since he knows that strategy that we mentioned before with trying to keep Francis pinned down there, that has gone out the window right now. Francis pretty much has the whole racetrack he can use right now, save a little bit of wear on his tires, and now Malechka's got to do the hard work here.
And look at that, Pinero. He's back in 5th place. And what we got in chat, someone says championship implications, and that is correct. Pinero is your Division 1 points leader right now. He has about a 300 and give or take a 300-point lead over Franzoni, but Franzoni's done. So Franzoni is just going to hurt him. Miranda is in 3rd. He's struggling. Ragon is the only other person that is really going to be able to make up any major ground on the folks in front of him, as Ragon is now in P8. But the other big guy in this picture is Mark Murphy, who's currently P6 in the Division 1 championship, is currently on the bottom step of the podium, so he's looking to capitalize the most. We're coming to 6 to go.
And right now, starting to put the pressure on Murphy for that final step on the podium is the number 20 of Cesar Cabral. He's closing back up once more. But now here comes Pinero. Gets a great run off of 4. Not sure where he wanted to go there, but now he starts to work that higher line right now, and I think he's got a little bit of an arrow push right now from Murphy in front of him, that being Cabral. And can this be a run for Pinero off the corner here? Looks like it is.
No, well, if you're looking from the straight down the straightaway shot, Cabral had the draft of Murphy to help him maintain. Oh, wow. Pinero scoots right on up and almost, I think he had to really roll out of it to prevent it getting into the wall. And that's going to open the door for Ribeiro now to move up to P5. Now Sean Dunham's now going to take a look at the back of Pinero, and he might like to capitalize on getting his car into the top 6.
And I think for Pinero right now, I think the saying can be arrow push giveth and arrow push taketh away for Adriano Pinero, the championship leader, in a bit of an odd situation right now. Of course, compared to the other championship contenders, he's in a better position than most, but he is not liking the situation, I would wager. I think even if he holds on to the spot, I can definitely see him running more races later on this week to try and get as much points as he possibly can. But Pinero giving up that top 5 to Ribeiro right now, and he's going to have a hard time, I think, catching up here unless he really gets really good with the prediction of the cars in front of him. And that's kind of the game you have to play here. Where will the car in front of me go? You find the clean air around you, so you have the grip in the middle of the corner, and that's what Sean Dunham just did right there behind him. He got a great run there off of 4.
Pablo Diaz-Francis now coming up the lap traffic. That is Franzoni and, Fraporti and Miranda. Kind of move out of the way. Robert Malechka into the wall. He kisses a little bit, but he keeps the momentum going. But now a little bit of desperation on hand as PDF is starting to pull away here in the closing laps at Michigan.
And it looks to me with 2 laps to go here this time by, either way, this could be insurmountable right now. PDF has a pretty good cushion. It's over a second at this point. And what a dominant showing right now for Pablo Diaz-Francis tonight. It's been a close race all the time, so the number of laps led could probably hide how close a race this really was, as now Mark Murphy behind him works his way around those lap cars. And as we work our way off of 4, the white flag is flying. One more lap to go for Pablo Diaz-Francis. He has put on an absolute clinic here tonight in what looks to me one of the biggest strength of field races I've seen on the Monday night broadcast this season. It's been a very strong showing from everyone involved here. And PDF put in that awesome qualifying time. He starts up front. He'll finish up front, it would seem. And now, off of turn number 4, it is Pablo Diaz-Francis. He brings that number 4 machine to victory lane in the Michigan Irish Hills.
Leshka P2, Mark Murphy P3, Cesar Cabral P4. That car is spinning off into the infield there. Careful, guys. Remember, those incident points count until everyone takes the checkered flag. Everyone
looks like Nick Neben got put in the wall there after the checkered flag came out.
Okay. Gotta watch that. That can be protestable. But yeah, one of the things a lot of people don't know, especially when you see these races where people then start wrecking after the checkered flag, is that those incident points do count against you until everyone crosses the start-finish line. So there is, we have the camera on our winner there, and Pablo Diaz-Francis as pulling the pit road here, and I don't know if he's going to do donuts or not. He's going to act like he's been there and probably just park it. Boom, done. Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at today's final results here from Legacy Michigan National Raceway. Pablo Diaz-Francis gets the win. Robert Rolechka in that P2 and a one-off showing. Mark Murphy, back from a vacation, leaves with a P3, comes back to a P3. A good couple of weeks for him. Cesar Cabral, we just missed the best interview in all of iRacing by one position. He finishes 4th. Adriano Pinero, I would say if it was anybody else, that's a good finish. But Adriano Pinero, I'm sure he's not really happy with the top 5. But like I said, anybody else would be happy with that. But I got to wonder if Pinero really is. He did finish ahead of just about everybody he needed to finish ahead of in the championship standings, with the exception of Murphy, who is the closest to them, and really in the top 6. Looking at the Division 1 standings now, Gil Rivero finishes 6th, Matthew Mercer 7th, Sean Dunham 8th, Andre Ragon P9, Nick Neben P10. So hi to everybody on his stream. Luka Korolev P11, Trace Shadid P12, Jesper Orman P13, Hamilton Akablese P14, and Stephen Lee in the 15th spot. And we're going to round out the remainder of the field here, 16 through 22, 24 for the 22 car field, excuse me. Adriano Forporti, Bruno Miranda, Rafael Eckert, Rodrigo Franzoni, Dakota DeMade, and Nigel Standish was rounding out the see if possibly have any.
See Mark Murphy down there.
Right. Let's go ahead and we'll bring him up fairly. We'll are on. Bring you on back here, and we'll bring up. Get his. First, we gotta check how his vacation went.
Indeed.
All right, bringing him on up. Mark, first things first, how was vacation?
I'm sorry?
First things first, how was vacation?
You know what? It was awesome. I think Natalie and I slept for 18 hours a day and ate the other 6. It was amazing.
Well, obviously, as we were saying on the broadcast, you left on a podium. You come back to you leave on a podium. You go on vacation. And you come back to a podium. Looks like another great super speedway race for you today. Tell us about your day.
Yeah, just again, all credit goes to Trace and the preparation. We were kind of the setup was kind of weird in that you could only really top out in fourth gear without the draft. So we knew the drafts were going to be huge, and just tried to maximize the draft without the dirty air in the corners and burning up the right front, and it kind of worked out for me at least. I know Trace had some problems in the pit lane and got behind, but if you're up front, you were able to stay out of the dirty stuff. You could run pretty quick in the draft and not use your tires, and that was the key.
Steven?
Yeah, and that's one thing we were noticing here. There seemed to be a lot more aero push here than there was last season. It wasn't quite as big of a pack run as we saw in the past here. Would you say that was something you guys expected going into this, or was that something that caught you guys by surprise? Because it seemed like on the first lap, at least, a lot of guys were caught out by that early on.
Yeah, the setup was really, really, really oversteery, at least in the beginning. So you had to be real careful. Uh, tiptoes through turn one on any restart. We didn't have any green flag pit stops, so we didn't have to worry about those. But it was really free at the beginning of a run, and then it just kind of tightened up. But it was all predicated on dirty air. I actually, from practice, expected it to be kind of like an old school IRL race, just because the gearing was so tall. But turned out that wasn't the case, and it turned into be a lot of fun. And here we are back talking with you guys. We gotta make this more of a habit.
Well, tell me about it.
Very much so.
You are now. We were talking, making mention of it actually in the podcast that you're in the top 6 of the Division One points. You might make up some positions with this podium. What's the best you've ever done in a fixed season, standings wise? Are you looking at a personal best here with the Division One championship, or have you done better before?
Yeah, this is actually my first full season in Division One.
Nice.
I think my best finish was second in Division Two a couple of seasons ago. I think. I know I've never come close. I won a lower division in the open side, but I've never been close on the fixed side, at least in Division One.
Well, continued success. Still got a couple races to go. Indy's next. You are an Indy guy, or an Indiana guy, that is. What does Indy mean to you?
There's a lot of things that Indy means to me, but the biggest thing that Indy means to me is sitting in the same seat that I've sat in with my dad and my brother for the last. I'm 40 years old. The last 30 years,
Hmm.
I've sat in the
Wow.
same seat. Dad on one side, brother on the other. Uh, big old bag of popcorn and refreshment or two and a bucket of chicken, and I look forward to that every year.
Well, that's coming up next here on the schedule. I trust we will see you there. Congratulations on, let's just call it back-to-back podiums. We, I'm sure the week that you're gone, we'll just chalk that up as a drop week. But back-to-back podiums, nevertheless. Shout outs. Anybody you'd like to say hi to before we let you go?
Yeah, hi to my parents at home. Obviously, I know my dad's watching, so thanks for the support, mom and dad. Like to say hi to my son, who's also in the other room watching. Uh, AJ, it's always cool to have you along. I got to thank Black Magic for the paint. Got a special patriotic stroker race scheme for the month of May, so
I
I'm
see
hoping
that.
hoping to
Mm-hmm.
hoping to put that guy up on a few more podiums and get to talk to you guys a lot more throughout the month. That's pretty fun. So thanks to David for that, and up over at Black Magic Designs for that. And thank you guys again for all you do. This is a really neat deal, and keep doing it. We appreciate it.
Oh, we thank you for being part of it. We know a man's an IndyCar fan when he kid. So there you go. Congratulations on the P3. We'll see you in Indianapolis here next week. And maybe at one of the fixed 500s, I'll see you. We'll never know. But make sure you get your qualifications in here earlier. It's starting tonight, and we'll see you in a week or so.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. Thanks, Steven. Y'all have a good night.
You too. That's it. No one else in here for an interview. So closing thoughts before we move on here to Indianapolis?
Well, Michigan tonight certainly threw up some different racing than we expected for sure, but it was still enthralling nonetheless. Still really good side by side action as we come to expect of Michigan. But now we move on to the track everyone looks forward to. And not just in the fixed series next week at Indianapolis, but of course this week for the fixed 500 and the next week for the open 500. And to us who love the sport of IndyCar racing, it is indeed the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be much overtaking and there'll be much good cheer, it seems.
Well, I don't know.
Indianapolis.
We'll see. That the aero push seems to have everyone baffled right now with the overtaking bit, but there's definitely great cheer going into it. We're looking at basically 3 weeks. So this week is fixed Indy, which I'll talk about here in the closing when we get to my bit, and then we go to open Indy 500, and then we go to the same week as the Indy 500, the iRacing IndyCar Series. The IndyCar iRacing Series, IIS. I always call it IIS, but they put the term iRacing in a weird spot. It's the IndyCar iRacing Series, and so we get 3 weeks of Indy races. So we got it fixed here. We're gonna be showing you a fixed 500, and then we'll be showing you the IIS Open, which is, I believe, 400 miles, or either 150 or 160 laps. Go back and look that up. But lots of laps at Indy are coming up here on the podcast. What can we expect to see you in here in the coming weeks, other than here in the booth when we call these races? What are your racing plans?
Well, for me, I'm actually coaching a few of my teammates in the art of the IndyCar. They're going to be competing in the fixed 500 this week, and I will myself on the Saturday, of course, because am going to be here with you on the Friday race for quite an interesting show, I would wager.
And that is a good segue as Friday night, and it is on our channel on youtube.com/raceverse. Go ahead and go to our channel, find it. It is the bottom split broadcast of the opening session of the fixed Indy 500. So we have 4 sessions for the fixed Indy 500 throughout the weekend. You have a Friday session, 2 on Saturday, and then 1, which I would call like an early-ish Sunday morning. And so those are the 4 sessions. If you want, you could run all 4, and you'll probably be exhausted by the time the weekend's out. But most people just do a couple. Excuse me. Casey's getting to me already. But we will be doing the bottom split of the opening session. So the bottom split, just to let you know, it's a little bit differently. The bottom split is done based upon, or your splits are based upon how you qualify, not your I rating. If you choose not to qualify, then it is based upon your I rating on how you're slotted in there. I believe it's how it goes. So the bottom split can have anywhere from folks making their first fixed Indy 500 to some guys that says, you know what, I'm just going to chance it. I'm not going to qualify. Line me up and let me race. So we will see what we will get. A couple people have already called it a meme race, and it could be a meme race, but the idea really is everybody has a place that they need to start somewhere. And that's kind of the idea we got going this. So we'll be definitely having a lot of in-car experts as well. We'll probably have from the Monday night top split races here, Dakota the Maid might be joining us, as well as from the open side of things, Power Slide Motorsports. Alex Vanasant will be joining us as well. So it's not necessarily what people are thinking of, kind of the ARCA Break Weekly meets IndyCar, but it is a chance to kind of see the up-and-comers of who might be into the future of IndyCar racing in the next year or so, and as well as maybe help those people that are just kind of making an IndyCar race and not knowing what kind of help them with some suggestions that our driver experts kind of give during the course of that race. So that's kind of what it is. It's not there to make fun of anybody, but it's going to be the bottom split. It is April the 13th. So as the tagline goes, what can go wrong? So that is it for tonight. Anything else before we wrap up, sir?
Well, to finish up the stuff I'm going to be doing a little bit is not just going to be the fixed 500 for me, it'll also be the open 500 as well. I'll be doing the week after. So I have a lot of laps of the Brickyard to turn, and so will everybody else. And same with every year. I'm pumped for it as always, and I think a lot of us are.
Well, I got to get out of here. I don't have much time before I have to hit the supersonic transport to Legacy Kentucky Speedway for Lionheart. But let's get on out of here and send everyone home on their way, give everyone the rest of their Monday evening back here. There we go. So that's it for tonight. Once again, your podium from Michigan is Pablo Diaz-Francis, Robert Motegi the third, and Mark Murphy. Join myself, Steven, and Ryan Eric King next week. Ryan couldn't make it with us this week. We forgive him. But he'll be joining us next week for race first coverage around 10 of the Monday Night Indy Fixed Top Splits of Season 222 as return to the world's greatest race course for the world's greatest race, the Indy 500. Well, the fixed series version of it anyways. So coverage begins at 8:15 Eastern Time. That's 8:15 p.m. Eastern on YouTube at youtube.com/racefirst. Hey, we love bringing these races to you, but they're not easy and require time and money to produce. Because of your generosity and donations, we've been able to bring you commercial-free coverage of the last two Fixed Indy seasons. If you share our passion for the sport of IndyCar and enjoyed our coverage of the Monday Night Indy Fixed Top Split, please take time to visit our GoFundMe page. The link is in the description, and donate to our Season 222 Monday Night Indy Fixed Top Split broadcast fund. We realize times are tough, so any contribution is greatly appreciated. We thank you for watching and make us part of your Monday evenings each and every week. Now, as you know, the YouTube algorithm game is not easy, so please help support Race First with the weekly grind. Leave a comment below and let us know what you thought of tonight's race. And if you enjoyed tonight's coverage, support us by smashing the like in the video, just like this here. And animations at all. Show you what's going on. And if you're new, click subscribe right at it, hit the bell for weekly reminders so you don't miss out on more of Race First iRacing programming. Here we go right there. Including our coverage this week of the IndyCar iRacing Series Friday Top Split from the Indy Road course on Friday afternoon. And later that evening is day one of the coverage of the fixed Indy 500 bottom split. That's bottom split racing again on Friday the 13th. What could go wrong? Keep your browser set here for the most in-depth IndyCar knowledge of all of iRacing. Race First, we know what Indy means. For business inquiries and to learn more about Race First and what we do, visit racefirst.com or follow us on Twitter. You can follow all of us via our Twitter handles right there at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to note those down. So for Stephen Larkamp, everyone at Race First, I'm Gary Godson saying to all, good night, thanks for watching, and to all of our men and women serving in the military and as first responders, God bless, Godspeed, and come home safe. Thanks again, everyone. Catch us next week back at Indianapolis for the next race of the Monday Night Indy Fixed Top Split. Good night.